I'm recording. So how do you know Jesus? How would you define or identify Jesus? Um, that's going to be what we're going to be talking about today in our conversation as we are continuing our growth path in nurturing our spirituality. I'm calling this The Many Faces of Jesus. And that was a title given to me by my colleague, Tiffany Lee. Hi, Tiffany.
Hello.
Because I think it is interesting that where those who come to, I don't know, I want to say religion from the Christian, although I think I consider myself a Christian, even though I'm coming at it from spirituality. Maybe that's another topic to talk about. But those who are Christian talk about Jesus, or at least identify with Jesus in a way that's different from the way I see Jesus as a spiritual traveler through this dimension. I see Jesus as the is the Son of God, but is the example of how we are to live our lives. And I've heard other folks talk about Jesus. Jesus is Lord. I've heard that, and I don't know that I necessarily identify with that kind of definition of Jesus. What are you? What is your interpretation of it, Tiffany?
So I feel like my relationship with Jesus is very personal. I felt like I knew him young. I was that quiet little girl that sat in the trees talking to Jesus all the time.
Mm,
And even though I was raised Catholic, I felt like I had my own individual relationship with Jesus, which is what he wants. That's the whole purpose. Your individual relationship with him or a source, God, and that's what he taught. But from my personal understanding, he didn't teach you to see him as above, but more like this is I come as a representative of the way, like how
yeah,
to be, like the how to be love, just kind of like I'm giving you my personal opinion of him first. Um, that he was the example. Yes, he's God's son, but we all are, and he says it. We're, all brothers and sisters in Christ. And he really emphasized love, love your
yeah,
neighbors. Like everything he did, he was emphasizing love. Um, I've come to the conclusion that if we're all examples or extensions of source of God, and God is love, he came as the element of love to our planet to show us how to love one another. You
yeah.
know, um, so that's where I am with Jesus. And
So that's similar to me. I mean, I didn't, unlike you, I didn't feel like I had a personal relationship with Jesus or even sought to get one. For
mhm,
me, I wanted to have a personal relationship with Source, with Jesus's father. Like,
right,
where did you come from? That's who I wanted to have a relationship with and wanted to be connected to.
right,
So in that way, we're a little bit different in terms of how we came or what our approach has been. But I have come to believe Jesus to be, that Jesus did exist and that Jesus is the example. He's
right.
the way shower, is what I've come to learn of what you are supposed to, how we're supposed to treat each other while we're in this dimension, while we're in this, you know, this
Realm.
body. This realm, yeah.
This body, yeah, this
Yeah,
realm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's always been interesting to me to hear folks who come at it. And again, I consider myself a Christian, but I'll call them Christians who come at it as if I don't know, um, that Jesus is the Lord, Master.
Well,
I don't consider him the Master. I
right.
consider his Father the Master, God, the source.
Mhm.
He's just like me. Jesus, to me, is just like me.
Right. Well, but you can't give him credit in the sense that he mastered the highest consciousness. So I think for the most part, all religions see him as someone that mastered the higher consciousness. You know, it's someone to look up to,
Mm,
someone to get there. He probably came in. We all come in with for a purpose, right? So he came in
yes.
for the purpose to reconnect us to God, to Source, which is what he says he came in to do. Because at some point humanity got lost, and he says he came for the lost. You know, so
Mm,
the way Catholicism teaches them, because I started off Catholic, is the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's God
right.
as three, and He's one leg of God, which is again not untrue. The part that they leave out in Catholicism is that we also are that third part of God. You know what I mean? All
Mm-hmm.
humanity technically is. And you and I, coming from science of mind, which really was a branch of religious science, it religious science all came from the original person, Mary Baker. Mary Baker. Oh, what was her name? Mary Baker something. When she got sick, anyway, she got sick and she was going to die. And the next day, her doctor was coming to, like, with the priest to read her last rites. But she
Mm,
decided she wasn't going to die. She opened up her Bible and was like, I'm going to learn what Jesus did. How did he heal? And she studied that Bible and she did her prayers, and she walked and opened the door the next day when the doctor. She was healed. She healed herself overnight by
mm,
studying Jesus, and she was the one that started basically religious science. Because she started teaching people how to do this. So it's still based on, even down the line, what we study now is still based on Jesus.
on Jesus. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the mastering of the law of the world, of Source, of Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a Christian, as a traditional Christian, when they say they call him Lord, I think that they just don't really understand what the word Lord really initially
Mm,
referenced. Like
yeah.
anyone that was a master or a leader or whatever would be called Lord.
I see.
We traditionally will call people Lord. But Jesus was like, no one is your teacher except for God. Because when you connect
Yeah.
to Source, you get the information. And the
That's right.
higher you are in your consciousness, the more information you get, right? So I think it's Michael Beckwith that talks about the four stages of consciousness.
Oh,
That it's, and we've talked about that.
yeah,
The
we have.
to me, for me, through me, as me.
Yeah.
Jesus is as me. Jesus walked as me, as Christ consciousness. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and as Christians, I didn't know what Christ. I never heard of Christ consciousness. It wasn't until I entered the spiritual world that I heard
Yeah.
of Christ consciousness and what that
Same
meant.
here. Same here.
Yeah. So, as a Christian, the face of Jesus is the person that saves you. Like, all you have to do is believe in Jesus and you're saved. All your sins are saved.
Mm,
He died for you. What I was thinking about yesterday was he did come to save us, really to save us from ourselves, to, like,
yeah.
so that we could have heaven on earth, the kingdom within, and to understand that it just got distorted over the years in Christianity on purpose. Like, the leaders did do it on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
like the Roman leaders or King James or whatnot, because teaching it the way they teach it as a Christian, where we have no power and we have to rely on Jesus to save us,
Yeah.
removes your power from within.
Exactly.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's not what he taught. He even said, everything I do, you can do also, and even more, even
Yeah.
greater, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I somehow knew that. And that's why I thought, I don't think I'm supposed to be looking at Jesus as like the end all,
right,
but is the example. I mean, and that's what I think that's what resonated with me most about religious science and science of mind. Um, that Jesus is the example, and that um, yeah, I can see how the word, and if it's misinterpreted, Lord could be applied to him because he has mastered that higher level of
right,
consciousness. And that's what we aspire to get to, but that we can get there just like he did. You
right.
know, that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
And let me just kind of back up and say, for those of you who have been watching us for a while, I hope that you have come to recognize and accept our idiosyncrasies with this program because I just kind of went into it, right, and didn't do my usual welcome to New Answers podcast where we discuss solutions to everyday life and the challenges that we face because that's what this is about. And we have moved into talking about nurturing as a subtext, I guess, nurturing spirituality as the answer, one of the answers to how we overcome life's daily challenges. Because I think that that's really what this is all about. Us being here is all about is finding those solutions, but finding it through getting in touch with our connection with the source of all creation, right? And this particular day in this recording, we're talking about Jesus and the many faces of Jesus because of just, hearing about it in the conversations and certainly around this time of year where we're recording it in the springtime.
And
It's
Easter's
March.
next week, right?
Easter is next week. So, well, yeah. So this coming Sunday is Palm Sunday, and then next week is Easter Sunday. It's early this year, but it's also, for other organized religions, the end of Ramadan just happened. I think maybe it was mid-February, maybe it was later. And then Passover is happening now, right? It's coming up. It's coming up. Because I think it's Passover and then Easter. So all
Yeah.
of these kind of things almost converge, right? At the same at the same time.
Well, it was during Passover when he was crucified.
When he was crucified,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because he was going to the Passover feast.
Yeah, yeah. So, we thought this was a good time to talk about the many faces of Jesus, depending on where you are. And I like what you said. You said traditional Christians. And so I think maybe that's the distinction, how I can distinguish myself. Because I grew up in a Christian, obviously Christian faith, Presbyterianism, and you mentioned the where in Catholicism it's God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Hmm.
That's the same thing that's recognized in the Presbyterian uh,
Yeah, because that was
denomination.
a division that came out of Catholicism.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but anyway, so it just seems like this is a good time to be talking about Jesus when,
It
uh,
is. It
yeah,
is.
yeah,
I personally, I have a love for Jesus, and I do know that it's kind of sad that there's he's been distorted in so many ways
yeah.
and what he came for. And because of that distortion, because so many Christians supposedly call him Lord, but if you really think about it, they're not obeying, especially what we see right now with Trump and the MAGA.
Hmm.
And throughout history, you have the slave owners, you have Nazism, and all of the people that did those activities call themselves Christians.
Yes. Yeah,
Right. So therefore, people that realize that, they think Jesus, I mean, Jesus for them is like taboo. And for me, I'm always saying that's not what Jesus was about, though. Don't
no,
let the Christians that are doing that destroy his name. And that's where it kind of makes me really sad, because also you see, as I mentioned, I went to Albanese the other night, and that last dance is about slaves and becoming free and
mhm,
stuff like that. And Jesus also was very important to them. Jesus has help. Jesus shows up when you pray to him. Like, so you kind of don't want to take that away. Like, he still represents love. He still represents a higher consciousness of God. You know what I mean? Of humans
yes,
being able to be that close to God. And because we are spirits, I mean, you can call on anyone that was here and passed on. Um, you can call on your parents. You can call, your grandparents. I used to speak to my grandfather, but I used to speak to Jesus too as a child. Um, and Jesus, because he represents love, he still answers. He still comes. You know what I mean? Which is still why he's so loved and admired throughout the world, like multiple religions. You know what I mean? They just
hmm
don't see him as the Son of God in the way that Christians see him as the Son of God. He is the Son of God, but we're all brothers and sisters, sons,
right.
daughters of God. We're all
We're all
expressions.
children of God.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
sons and daughters of God. That's how
right.
I see myself too.
Yeah,
And yeah, and it's too bad that his character has gotten distorted over the years. I yeah, I still see him as, as the example, as
right,
the person that on this plane, on this dimension, has mastered that higher level of consciousness. And that's what I aspire to.
right.
And
Same.
but I am so far. I mean, I've come a long way, I know, since I've been exposed to the Church of Religious Science and science of mind and metaphysics. I've come a long way from where I started, but I have a ways to go. And I'm giving myself grace for that. I
Which
think
we do. We have to.
we have to.
Jesus came in with gifts. He probably was one, like there's some children now that come in with no, what they call novell in front of them, so they have all the wisdom, all the knowledge. Jesus, there are some accounts of him being a child and having gifts, like,
Mhm.
and that just his whole spirit and everything about him caused miracles. There's stories of like people that were sick that would just like touch his diaper, and be healed.
Yeah.
So, but he also studied, we kind of, some people talk about that, or at age 15 he disappeared and came back at 30. He started his ministry at 30. And his mom knew who he was. His mom was like, Jesus, it's time. And they were at a
Mhm.
wedding. He turned water to wine. That was the first thing he did.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to come out.
It is a good way to come out. Boy, I wish I could
Yeah,
do that. See, that's what I aspire to because I do love my wine.
right.
But even now, because we were talking before we started recording how I'm dealing with some health issues, and I'm having to have biopsies okay, so why can't I get to a point, raise my consciousness to a point where I heal myself,
Well,
you know?
and you
Yeah.
can. And Jesus came to let us know. But keep in mind, he did study. He went like to India and Greece. He studied for 15 years before he started his ministry.
Mm.
So, I mean, you're going to go in isolation for 15 years to get to that level of consciousness?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. However, there's been plenty of people that have been able to get to at least the healing consciousness,
Yeah.
um, with less time. Not everyone, but there is, and it's not just through our faith. There's shaman, I know shaman that can do healing. I know there's a woman that's Someone sent me recently her information, and she did the same thing. She was dying of cancer,
Mm.
and she got her like 3 months or something like that to live. And her and her family, she had young kids. She just went to the Bible and was just like, I'm going to go to Jesus' word, and just started praying from the Bible, praying from the word of, Jesus and God in the Bible, used it to heal herself. And it was like she and her kids all the time would just like find verses from the Bible or Jesus, and she healed herself. And this is current day, and she's going around praying for people and healing for people. So yes, it can be done.
It's
It's
possible.
the
Yeah.
belief system again, right? Do we
I
really
know.
believe it?
I know. Yep. And
When science
truly
of
believe
mind,
it in your heart and have it become part of your subconscious.
it's
I
got to
know,
be
yes, I know this to be true. Now,
exactly.
putting it into practice, okay, that's where I'm challenged.
Yeah, and
But I'm,
and that's because we've become so dependent on American medicine, and
yeah.
just kind of like back 100 years ago when Science of Mind and everything, when Mary Baker something, I don't know, when she started it, and when
Is it
people were
Mary
going
Baker
through
Eddy?
Mary Baker Eddy,
I
yes,
thought so. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
know of her. Yeah.
When
Hmm.
she started it and when was teaching it, everyone was doing it, medicine wasn't popular, medicine wasn't good.
Yeah.
So they went to practitioners to get healed. And they went with the expectation, and they knew that you could be healed. So if we lived back then and we're like sick and we go to a practitioner, we hear about it all the time. All these people, your neighbor got healed, your best friend got healed, then you're going to go with that belief and knowing that it can happen. But
Hmm.
we're not, we don't have that same belief system
Yeah.
because we've become dependent on the medical system. And that's not everywhere. That's America, that's Western society, right? When I go to
Yeah.
Haiti, I was talking to our minister about this. I was like, when I go to Haiti, we see miracles and healings all the time because they're not dependent on medicine out there. There's not
Mm.
many, a whole bunch of hospitals they can go to and stuff like that. They're
Right.
still, dependent on natural causes and their faith. So, and my minister was saying too that when she goes to the Science of Mind convention in Mexico, that the
Hmm.
faith level there is just like way above. Their consciousness level is just way above what we're used to here in
Ah,
America. So it is the convenience that we're used to that has allowed
yeah.
us to not have that type of faith, you know,
Right.
to
And
heal.
become dependent on this other stuff, this
We became
Western
dependent
medicine.
on man instead of God.
That's right.
Like,
Yeah.
if you really think about it, we literally don't trust God. We Americans don't trust God. As Christian as they say they are, they don't trust God because the majority of us do not really follow the teachings.
Yeah.
We rely on money,
That's
our
right.
government, the building on our head, electricity, we pay for our water, and you know what I mean?
Yep.
We trust man more than God. We lost our connection with God.
And that's why we're here talking about this.
That's why we're
And,
here talking
and
about it.
it's evident that we have lost our trust in God because of all the things that you're talking about. But look around you, right? Look at what's happening in the world today.
Right.
And it's all kind of coming out of it's that lack of trust. And so we've come detached or at least distanced ourselves from the source,
Yeah.
and are depending on man, but the ego in man, right?
Mhm.
And when I say man, I mean human,
Human. Yeah.
human. Yes. And that's all tied up in our ego, edging God out, right? Which I learned
Right.
doing this whole thing. And so that's why we're in the mess we're in,
Right.
on a macro level and even in our everyday lives. Like me talking about my own personal health challenges that I'm facing. If I had more confidence in, I guess, and less dependence on the Western medicine, I bet I probably would be able to heal myself. I know I would be able to heal myself
Right.
and not have to go through all of
That's
this.
that's the first step, is that you know you'll be able to heal yourself. So you know it's possible. So that's the first step. And now, you know what? If you want to go there, then you start taking classes. You are going to Agape. You could start your
I
classes.
know I could, shouldn't I? I could. Yes. And bypass all of this craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do believe, I mean, I don't believe that, that, like I said, it was a biopsy. Usually biopsies mean they're trying to test you for cancer because there's something there that's not supposed to be there. And so you know, taking just kind of stepping back and putting my faith into God, I will have I will come to recognize that there really is nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, it's really nothing.
Okay, so physically, there might be something there because God is in us. We are expressions of God, right?
Hmm.
And then our bodies are just are like our computer program, or just what it's our suit. If our mind told us, somehow in our mind told us our illness is there, then it's there. But is it real? It's not real. It's only as
Not
real
real.
as you believe in it. And
Exactly.
so, like for instance, my friend David, the shaman, um, when he goes into meditation, when he's doing the healing, he goes into meditation and he goes into the spirit or the energy of the person he's working with.
Hmm.
And God shows him basically the non-truth of a person. So if you have like the let's say fibroid, he sees the fibroid. There's a fibroid there, right?
Yeah.
It's created by the ego, which is
Yeah.
our mind, and then he clears it by saying it's not true, it's not there. And that's the same thing like the way Emma Thompson, is that Emma Thompson, one of the original Science of Mind people 100 years ago, that's what she did too. She said, deny it. You deny anything you don't want to experience. It's not real. The only thing that is real is source. And we're all expressions of, and we've all been created from source, but then matter is created based on what we create with our mind. So we
Yeah.
can create a phone that's very useful, or we can create our illnesses.
That's
But
true.
we can decide those illnesses are not there. We can create our health too. We can, you know what I mean? So, but it
Hmm.
is faith, and that's what Jesus was able. We're going to go back to Jesus, to manifest, and what he tried to teach as well. And so when disciples came to him, when they were out there doing healings, and when he said, and the disciples came to him and said, why can't we do it? And he said, because your faith is not strong enough. That's all. He said, you have
Yeah.
little faith. You know what I mean? It's all about the faith.
You have little
Um,
faith. That's right. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people have faith in Jesus.
Hmm.
So, and that's what touched my heart. You know what I mean? I don't want to downgrade Jesus in the sense that because so many people have faith that when they pray to Jesus, he'll heal. He heals them, and he does.
Hmm.
Because if I decide also that this plant next to me, if I eat it, it's going to heal me. If my faith is in this plant that I'm going to eat it, it's going to heal me. It will, because it's what you believe you receive,
What you believe.
because it's
Yeah.
still all creation.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Just
Hmm.
also remember, with the trick of medicine is, in order to pass the in order to be used, what's it called, our medical board or whatever that decides what medicines they use, when they do the testing, it has to test above a placebo. A placebo is nothing.
Oh, right.
The placebo is telling that person they're taking something. They're taking this pill. They tell them, you take this pill and it's going to make you well. So that
Yeah.
person just put faith in that pill.
In that pill, because they've
And
been
that pill
told
may be
this
nothing,
will heal
but their
you.
body is already going to start healing because they put that faith. So that is like physical 3D now proof that we can do it ourselves. It's proof that you can do it yourself.
It sure is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a good
I may
case
show
for
up,
that.
Gwen, and hand you a pill and tell you this is the miracle pill. It will heal you. If I can convince you of that, you'd be
Yeah.
healed.
Then I would be healed. There'd be no need for these biopsies and whatever, all these testings. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, Jesus,
And
that
Jesus is
whole,
real. I
it's
want to go back
real.
to that because as I was watching Alvin Ailey the other night, Wednesday night, and they're doing that performance, and and they're singing to Lord, their Lord,
And was
and
it Wade in the Water? Is that the song that they sang
yeah,
too? I
yeah,
remember,
so
yeah,
beautiful.
going to that. Yeah.
I
It was,
felt the energy of it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And he came here to be the example. He came here to remind people that they can have heaven on earth. He came here. He still came out of love. His whole ministry was preaching
Yeah.
love. And because remember, we don't die, he can come and go and be there for us anytime. When I was going through my divorce, um, because I did see him. He showed up for me. Like
Mm,
he was he got me through it. He appeared to me. I just remember coming out the shower one day crying,
mm,
and I saw an image of him just standing there. And I was like, why is this happening? And he was like, because we have something better. There's something better for you. And then I just felt his love, and multiple times during the time I was going through the divorce or when my first husband had cancer, like Jesus showed up. And he showed up a lot when I was young, but it was because I must have called him in. Like I said, you can
right.
call in whoever you want to call in,
Hmm.
so you can call in your dad, you can call in Jesus, you can call in Mary.
Hmm.
But his soul, his spirit is still going to be the same. It's almost like he came to earth with that pure spirit that we all have because he didn't have the ego
Right.
or he mastered the ego.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
we're not going to say he didn't. You have to have the ego to be here. He mastered control of his ego and
Yeah.
the consciousness of being fully Christ embodied. And there's only a few people, but there's other people like Buddhists, and a few other people. And so it's not an easy thing to do. It's something of the highest consciousness, but it can be done.
Yeah. And that's what's inspiring because you know that it can be done because it's been done. It's been done before.
Right.
You know, developing that higher consciousness. And I'm wondering, that might be why, traditional Christians go through, for those who really want to study this. I mean, you're an example of that. You're going through a training to become a licensed spiritual practitioner, but also there are folks like Buddhists who become monks or folks in the Catholic religion, right? They go through monastery to become nuns and priests and be able to sort of insulate themselves, I guess, from the world so
Yeah.
that they can really focus in on studying to raise their consciousness to a higher level.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And this week, I went to, on Zoom, I took a class by this Hindu
Mm.
guru, and he talked about breathing techniques that can heal you, just the way you breathe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um, so you know,
There are ways.
there's
There are
ways. There's
ways.
ways. There's a
Yeah.
lot of ways.
And it's not, like you said, it's not easy. I mean,
Right.
and I think in a previous recording, I talked about uh, that being a spiritual being is not namby-pamby. It's not, this light stuff. It's really the inner work that you have to do it's easy to say and talk about,
Mhm.
but to actually put it into practice.
Right. Well, and this is me. Um, I say that we're not practicing spirituality because we're spirits. We're practicing managing the ego.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Remembering
what
who
it
we
is.
are and
Managing that
practicing
ego.
managing the ego.
And that ego is strong,
It does.
but not as strong as source, you know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, we've been talking about the many faces of Jesus. And if there's anything that you heard that, I don't know, moved you in any way, um, how do you see Jesus? What is your experience about that? That's something we'd like to hear from you. Um, Place your comments in the space below this video and tell us about it. It's something that we would want to share with the rest of the community. And maybe we can invite you on to share it as part of our recordings. Also, don't forget to press that subscribe button so that you can get a notification whenever we upload any new installments of Nurturing Spirituality. So anyway, I hope this conversation is, sparked something in you. Um, I don't know, triggered a thought that you might have regarding how you see Jesus and what your interpretation of Jesus is. And we look forward to seeing you and hearing from you, and want to invite you to return to listen to our conversations as we go through our odyssey of uh, nurturing our spirituality. On behalf of Tiffany Lee, I'm Gwendolyn Flynn. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.